Hey everybody, it's Christina of CraftyPaws. I'm here to share this super fast, feminine, and slightly edgy card with you guys. This is a design team project for Topflight stamps, and I use the beautiful visible image Live Life Now stamp set. I really like how the stamp has kind of the splattery, bubbly look about it, and I thought it would make a beautiful feminine card. So first I took some Strathmore Bristol paper and I'm just dabbing some Tim Holtz Distress ink and spun sugar, and I'm also splattering on some Ken Oliver Color Bursts in Merlot. You can see first I'm getting some of that pale pink on the edges, and then I am spraying with a water bottle, just plain water in there, and I'm spraying down where I had sprinkled on some of that Merlot Ken Oliver Color Burst. And now I'm doing some lemon yellow, and I'm spritzing that now with a water bottle, and I'm not liking how it's kind of turning a little bit brown where the yellow and the Merlot mix together. So I'm using a little bit more of that yellow, trying to make the yellow more dominant, and I'm just putting a little bit of water on the back side of the paper as well so that it doesn't curl so much. And I'm dabbing off some of the excess pigment powder with a tissue. I just wanted to soften it a bit. And I know when it dries, it will soften even more, but I wanted to make sure that I got kind of a hint of pink, but more of the pale lemon yellow, going to kind of almost an ochre. I don't actually end up using the ochre, but that yellow, that lemon yellow turns dark enough, I think. And that's the card front totally dry, and that's the visible image stamp. Now, I made sure that the card front was totally dry with a heat tool off camera, and I'm just using Memento Tuxedo Black ink to get as dark an image as I can. And I realized once I've started this that the card front is a little bit bumpy where the pigment powders haven't fully liquefied, so it's not taking the ink very well, besides which the Memento Tuxedo Black ink isn't a super black ink. So I'm repeatedly stamping this. Luckily, I set this all up on my MISTI tool so I can do repeated stamping, and I think I ended up stamping it like half a dozen times, and I still ended up with a kind of a splotchy look. So I'm taking my Memento Tuxedo Black marker, which luckily I also have, and it's covering up the little areas that I can still see the background through. And I'm taking my time just going through covering all the little white splotches, which I actually end up not really having to do. If I could have stopped right here, but I decide that even after I covered up all of the background showing through, it's not black enough for me. It's not rich and luxe enough for me. So I'm using a EK powder tool to prep this card front so I can do some heat embossing. I'm taking my Versamark ink, and luckily I had kept the stamp exactly the same place on my MISTI tool, and I'm re-stamping that with that Versamark. And now I'm taking some Ranger black embossing powder, and I'm capturing the excess in that coffee filter, and I'm just making sure I don't have any stray powder there. And I'm gonna capture the excess, put it back into the bottle, and set that aside so I can heat it with my heat tool. And I go on the front here as well as on the back so that the paper doesn't curl too much. And doing that heating on both sides really keeps it pretty flat. Ultimately, at the end, when I'm done with the whole card, I put this under a weight, but you can see it liquefying there. That powder is so gorgeous when it liquefies like that. I realized I didn't stamp the right side fully. You can see it's a little bit dull there on the lower part of that top right wing there. So I'm putting Versamark ink on it, and I'm re-powdering it just in that area so that I can get that embossing powder fully covered on the whole butterfly. And I'm just flicking off the excess powder with a dry paintbrush, and I'm going over and reheating the areas that got that second application of embossing powder. Now, somehow I missed the beginning of this, but I had in my stash a rub-on that said Cherish in this kind of flourishy font that I thought would coordinate nicely with the butterfly. And now I'm just inking up the edges with my Versa fine ink. And I'm doing that just so it has like a nice kind of almost rustic or a little edgy look to that card front. I like edging that with that black ink. And I've put a whole bunch of scraps of fun foam on the back of it so I can get a little bit of dimension from the card front as I attach it to the card base. And I chose a pale pink, soft pink card base to coordinate with the pink on the card front. And now I decided I'm going to add some black sequins just to add a little bit of sparkle. I'm adding 3, and then I decide I'm going to add a little bit more, but I'm trying to form kind of a triangle. I'm topping each of the little holes in the black sequins with some ebony glitter glue. It's a Recollections brand, and I like covering up the whole of the sequin like that. I'm also adding a few little dots here and there of that sparkly glitter glue, and I think that adds just an extra little sparkle to the card. I'm also putting it down the body of the butterfly. I'm also adding a few dabs here and there in the splattery, bubbly areas of the butterfly. Then I decided I want some more sparkle and not in black, so I'm using a large pale pink, a regular size pink, and then a golden yellow. And I just placed those where it would match, each of the sequin colors would match the background. And I decided I'm going to add a tiny little one over there and a pale cream colored one over on the right. And that's my completed card. Like I said, super fast, but really pretty, I think. I like the strong, feminine, edgy look. And this is going to go to a strong woman in my life that I cherish, treasure, and I'm so thankful for. That's my completed card. I hope you enjoyed this process video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.